video is looking at principles of training. So effective exercise can have a hugely beneficial effect on improving skills and performance. But if training is to be effective, it must follow some training principles, and this can be summarized by the acronym FITT for sport, followed by a little bit of R&R, and we'll go through what each of those letters mean regarding training principles. So frequency is related to the number of times exercise is undertaken each week. So it's basically how many times you do physical activity. And the recommendation is that each of us should take part in a minimum of 30 minutes of physical activity 3 times a week. Intensity relates to how hard the exercise is. So if you're going to go running, intensity relates to how hard you're going to be working related to the running session that you're doing. So here we can see a graph, and at the bottom we have the time in minutes, and that's going to go up to 30 minutes, and on the vertical axis going up we have the rate of perceived exertion, which means how hard someone feels that they're working on a scale of 1 to 10. And as you can see, for the first 3.5 minutes the person is gradually warming up, so their rate of perceived exertion is starting at 4 and working their way up to 8. And then to get any benefit from the exercise, they will need to be training in this zone here, where their RPE, the rate of perceived exertion, or how hard they feel they're working, is between 7 and 8 for a period of time. So just a quick question for you: what would your target heart rate be if you wanted to train at 75% of your maximum heart rate? Now remember, maximum heart rate is 220 minus your age. Okay, so if you were 20 years old, you would take away 20 from 220, and then your maximum heart rate would be 200, and then you'd have to work out 75% of that. So in terms of intensity, you would have to make sure that you are working at this intensity, where you're working at an 8 out of 10 in terms of how hard you feel you're working, for about 20 minutes to get any benefit from the exercise. Okay, so as I've said here, to improve cardiovascular fitness, our target training zone is between 60 and 85% of our maximum heart rate, and you're going to need to remember those figures. Time is very simple, so it refers to how long each session lasts for. Ideally, as we've just seen, in terms of cardiovascular fitness, you want the exercise to last for between 20 and 30 minutes. For resistance training, if you're training to improve your muscle tone or muscle mass, you're looking for your training session to last for between 30 minutes and 60 minutes. Type refers to the nature of exercise that the performer completes. So for example, what type of exercise would you do to develop fitness? Okay, what type of exercise would you do to develop muscular strength? All of those specific exercises relate to the type of training. Specificity. So specificity means that training is designed for an athlete's specific needs. A rower will need a very different training program for, say, a footballer, because the physical and motor fitness demands of their sports differ wildly. So when we plan a personal exercise program, it is essential that we take the individual needs of a performer into account. Progressive overload. So the principle of progressive overload is about training at an intensity and then gradually increasing the amount of stress we place on our bodies in order for fitness gains to occur. So it doesn't mean training too hard, because that can lead to overtraining, or too much. So let's look at this training program, and then I'm going to challenge you to write or think of 2 ways in which the program can be progressed the following week. So in week 1, our fitness client has decided that their program is going to consist of the following 5 exercises, and they're going to do 1 set of 10 reps of each exercise. So one way we could progress this the following week is that they did 2 sets of 10 reps of each exercise. Another way they could progress would be to still do 1 set, but instead of doing 10, the next week they would do 12. So they will be progressing the workout and the intensity that way. Okay, and then so each week you could progress by increasing the amount of sets, or increasing the reps, or increasing the circuits, how many times they do all of the exercises together. Okay, so it's very important to understand the concept of progressive overload. Adaptation. So by ensuring that you progressively overload your body during training, you are encouraging it to adapt to the new stresses being placed on it. For example, an individual whose cardiovascular fitness is low can overload the heart, lungs and circulatory system simply by walking at a faster pace than normal. So what training adaptations do you think would occur by taking part in the following training exercises? So you have someone here that's doing a push-up or a press-up with a row with dumbbells. You have someone doing plyometric exercises. And then finally you have someone doing some dynamic stretching exercises. So in the first picture, the client would develop muscular strength and endurance by doing exercises that utilize the muscle. In the second picture with the plyometric exercises, the client would increase their leg strength and their leg power, and they would also develop some cardiovascular fitness. Those would be the adaptations that they would have. And in the final one, the adaptation that would occur would be increased flexibility. Okay, reversibility. So our bodies need to be placed under stress in order to improve. If our bodies are not challenged, any strength, tone or gains will be reversed. And that's the same with cardiovascular fitness. So if you had someone that was training for a marathon and they got to the point where they could complete the marathon in a respectable time, and then they decided that they weren't going to carry on that training, then their cardiovascular fitness, those gains would be reversed. Okay, so the way to remember reversibility is use it or lose it. Variation. So it's important to vary a training program so that you don't get bored and you can continue to enjoy your exercise sessions. And lastly, so we had the FITT for sport, and those are the training principles that relate to that. And remember, I said it follows by R&R, which is rest and recovery. And this is hugely important. And overtraining occurs when the intensity of exercise exceeds the body's ability to recover. So basically, you're doing too much. Someone who is overtrained will stop making fitness progress. So that means if someone's training for strength, they will become weaker. Someone that's training to build muscle, if they're overtraining and not giving their body time to recover, they'll actually lose muscle size. So our bodies need rest and recovery time so that it can adapt.